How did you feel once you found out that this movie was being made, about being the subject in it? And obviously you're trying to make your own film at the time. How did you feel?
Well, I felt very relaxed, I guess. I mean, like about 9 years ago, we were the subject of another documentary, both of us again, called Gambler. So we had tried it before, and it had worked out very well. The result had been very good. So I was like, I mean, sure, if just go all the way, you know, I'm here. So, and then she did go all the way. So that, of course, surprised me a little bit, you know. But having seen it, I think that it was very wise to make it more about us, because, you know, that's, I guess, where the drama is.
We moved to Bangkok and I didn't have anything to do really, and we decided to do that because...
Well, she decided to do that.
Yeah, it's been tough on the family. Every time Nicolas does a movie, he has to travel, and we just stay behind in Denmark because I have my life there with the children and everything. So with Drive, it was so tough on us being away for 10 months, and I had to go back and forth with the kids. So we decided to come to Bangkok and put the kids in school, and I was like, what should I do in Bangkok for 6 months? And,
had you made the decision to make the film before you guys arrived in Bangkok? It was once you arrived in Bangkok?
We arrived in Bangkok, and I think we were there for a month, and there was like a flooding, and we couldn't go out, and we were just stuck in that like mall. And I just sort of got the idea, and I think I talked to Johnny, who was the line producer in the movie, and sort of the idea just came up, and I was like, great, because I thought it would be more interesting as a movie if it was personal, and not just, if I just made it like with interviews of people praising Nicolas, it would be kind of boring.
Nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that, of course.
No, so I mean, I sort of felt that I wanted to show how it is to live with an artist, and you know,
You made it more about you.
the downside about that, and like
You put yourself on the poster.
I put myself, he's very jealous.
That you're on the poster and he's
Nice
not.
trick, huh?
But your name is in the title, so that's pretty good.
People don't read, they look.
It's true. Let me ask you about the title, because it is My Life, directed by Nicolas Winding Refn. Do you feel like your life is directed by him in a certain sense?
Yeah, in a way. I could also have called it Dictated by Nicolas.
What?
No, I mean, that's a joke. But yeah, I thought that suited the movie in a way. Like, because at some point in our life, it's been his career who sort of decided our lifestyle, where to go, you know, which country to live in, all that kind of, and we have to come along because
We're family.
we're family, you know.
Well, we certainly live a very Egyptian lifestyle, and you feel guilt, you feel all those things parent-wise, that you maybe not doing what everyone else is doing and so forth, and that for me personally kind of creates a lot of confusion in our lives, and knowing that they're submitting themselves to, you know, other situations. Like we went to Bangkok, now we're here in LA, I want to go to Tokyo, she doesn't. So it's like it just continues the way we have it, but you know, I think that we've been together for 20 years and 19 and
but it feels like 20.
It feels like 40. But
Thank you.
I think that I certainly am an example of behind a great man there's a greater woman. Yeah. I mean, if it wasn't for Liv to hold everything together, you know, and I'm not the easiest guy to be around. I'm not, you know, I know that, and I shouldn't, you know, paint myself as a saint. And it's she has a lot. She has a huge handful, and I sometimes, you know, don't say it enough.
Oh, that's very nice. Now we have it on video.
Well,
Yeah.
I wanted to ask
Why
you,
are
Nicolas.
so nice?
I've interviewed him before. He's not this nice when you're not here. I just want you to know. I'm just kidding. I also wanted to ask you about, both of you, about your friendship with Ryan Gosling. Because obviously you guys work well together. But then when watching the documentary, I mean, he's so good with your kids, and he's just so funny, and he just seems like a cool dude to hang out with. I mean,
Uncle Ryan from Canada.
Could you talk a little bit about the friendship that you both seem to have with him?
Yeah, I mean he's a really nice guy, and you know, we were practically neighbors. Yeah, we lived together in that building, and he was so nice that he let me shoot all these intimate and private scenes in a way, and that's my asset, that I'm Nicolas' wife and we're friends. Because if it would have been some stranger, I don't think
Right.
they would have gotten all this, you know, personal stuff. So, I mean, he's just a really good friend and very nice. He is a cool dude.
Yeah.
To say, yeah.
Yeah.
And the kids like him, and yeah.
They love him.
They love
Where's
Ryan.
Ryan coming? Where's Ryan?
Do you
What
get
about
jealous?
Dad? What about Ryan? Where's Ryan?
A film festival offered you and Ryan some money to appear at a screening of Drive, and you then put that money into the film.
Well, that's why we did it. I needed
Yeah,
money
no, of
to
course.
pay off the cops.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
So, okay, so let's backtrack. At what point do you arrive in Bangkok and you're told that you're going to need money to pay off the
During
cops?
production, there's a certain way that you compensate the situations for, and I didn't have cash to do that in the budget because the budget was so tight. So we were in need of X amount of thousands of dollars because I was shooting in Chinatown, which was a very difficult place to shoot in. And this place offered us, I think it was like $30,000 to show up. And I said, if you pay 100, we'll show up together. And so we found back and forth, and then we came up. They paid the cash, we took the cash, the next day we went into the film.
I don't know if it's just maybe the way it was edited, the documentary, but it seemed like you were counting that money for
I
days.
was.
Like for days.
Not days, but it took, imagine somebody gives you $100,000.
Oh yeah.
Don't you want to count it?
You want to make sure that it's
Well,
not
just the
99,000, yeah.
That there is almost $100,000. Just, I'm never going to be able to touch that amount of money in my life. Of course I want to count it. You know, it's like the closest thing I'll ever get to being Scarface.
Right, exactly. Nicolas, I wanted to ask you about actually making Only God Forgives and the way it's depicted in the film, in the documentary. You have a lot of concern about the expectations coming off of Drive. And could you talk a little bit about that? Because that seems like sort of what's driving you through the documentary in a lot of ways.
You know, Drive was certainly the most successful film I had made up until then. It wasn't very different from my other movies, it was just more successful. And it was a formula that was like, oh, that works, on a larger scale. And I went into Only God Forgives knowing that I had to destroy that formula completely, or else I would be stuck repeating myself. So when you take something you know works and to completely exterminate it, it's scary because you know you're going to make something that is going to go against everyone's expectations but also wants. But what you essentially give is sometimes more interesting when they don't know what they're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
But then, is this going to work or not? And it was very pleasurable with the success of Drive. It felt good in many ways, so you're also throwing that potentially away. And so of course that creates anxiety, but that's also what makes it exciting.
You also said in the documentary that you didn't know what the film was about.
Well, I don't know what anything I do is about.
Yeah, was that unusual for this production, or that happens on every
Same
film?
thing.
Okay.
It's because I shoot in chronologically order. So it's a constant evolution along the way where is this going to end and how is it going to end?
Well, let me ask you, did you know what your film was about? Not Only God Forgives, but
No,
your
my
documentary. Or did you find it in the editing process?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did. I mean, I had an idea, of course, when I was filming it, but it was just like, I'm gonna just, film the process and I'm gonna see how it turns out. And of course I had an idea that it would be about his fear of following up on his success after Drive and, how it is to live with an artist and sort of, but it was in the editing room that we, found the story in a way, like how it should be.
Yeah.
So yeah.
There's a quote in the movie, Nicolas, where you said, "You've made great cinema when half of the audience loves it and half of the audience hates it." Why do you feel that way? And were you pleased with the final product personally as a director, pleased with the final product of Only God Forgives?
Well, I was very pleased with the movie, and very much. But, you know, if everyone likes something, it's like everyone hates it. Just the opposite. But if people love it or hate it, it creates thought and creates conflict. And conflict inspires thought. And thought inspires action. So I like personally experiencing that, and I like inflicting that on everyone else. It's of course a little dizzy, you know, in the eye of the storm, especially after the premiere at Cannes, where there was so much hatred. But once I got past my self-pity and the fact that everyone was hating it was just not cool, in my opinion, and everyone who was loving it were a younger generation. You know, Cliff Martinez said, "You're now the Sex Pistols of cinema." And I was like, that's how I'm going to go out. I'll take that with pride.
Yeah, that's great. And Liv, last question for you. Would you do another documentary on the next film? Or is the next subject going to be something outside the family?
Yeah. It would be outside of the family. Yeah. It would be something else. I don't know yet, but I would like to do another documentary at some point.
Yeah.
But not about Nicolas. I think that would be just...
Well, like Nicolas says, you don't want to repeat yourself.
No,
So
exactly.
yeah, you wouldn't...
Been
Why,
there, done that.
yeah.
I mean, boring.
Exactly. I really enjoyed the documentary, and I'm a big fan of Only God Forgives. And I've told you this before, but I think Drive is one of the greatest movies ever made. Like, I honestly, God, it's my favorite movie. So it was a pleasure talking to both of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.